What it do, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm very excited to give you guys another video in my 3 Looks 1 palette series. And in this particular video, I'm not going to only be highlighting an eyeshadow palette, I am also going to be highlighting a face palette. So we have some interesting goodies coming to you guys from Adept Cosmetics. This was the palette that you guys voted for me to showcase next from all of the products that I already have. I feel like every time I do a tutorial, there's another product that I have to at least showcase or I want to showcase. So much good content hopefully coming to you all, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. But if you're interested in hearing more about these 2 particular products, let's just get into it. Okay, so if you've never ordered from the brand does phenomenal, I would say, shipping and like packaging to ensure that their products get to you safely. They have quite a bit of bubble wrap. For these 2 products, I had huge amount of bubble wrap and I felt a quite significant box. And I've never talked about that, but it blew my mind when I saw the box this time because I was like, what is that? I didn't order that much. I only ordered a couple of things. And then I opened it, I was like, oh, they just went in on the bubble wrap. So I really appreciate them for that. And I have yet to get one product damaged from the brand. I may damage it after I receive it, but it didn't come to me damaged. Now, all of their products come in these boxes that identify them as being from Adept Cosmetics, and it also showcases their social media and the brand's information. So like what is actually in this box. On the back, you also get information about the actual product that is in there. So you also get the ingredients. They tell you if there's any form of caution warning. You get the product, how much is in the product. So for this particular box, this is the blush palette, and you get 13 grams or 0.46 ounces. It also says the shelf life, which are 24 months. You get the cruelty-free logo, and then it also showcased that it's distributed from Adept Cosmetics, which is from Washington, and it is also made by Adept Cosmetics in China. So I really appreciated that. And since it was the first time that I actually noticed looking on the back that these things were provided, I wanted to make sure to talk to you guys about that. Also, I believe I mentioned it in my last review of the brand. They also have like a silicone wrapping over all of the products to ensure, once again, that it gets to you safely. And on the back of the silicone casing, if you will, is actually all of that same information minus the ingredients as well. So they definitely make sure that you are able to get access to this information easily and accessible. You just kind of have to take a moment and look for it. So that's that. And then of course, this is my packaging or my box for the eyeshadow palette, and this once again is the Minka eyeshadow palette. And so on the back, once again, it has the ingredients for not only just the shimmers but also the mattes. And it's interesting that they highlight that there's only kind of one formula here, because you guys will be seeing it towards the end of the video. I felt like there were different formulations when it came to the shimmers, but very interesting nonetheless. They also kind of give you their own kind of caution warning, basically saying do a patch test to make sure that none of the products are going to agitate your skin. They also say that in the eyeshadow palette there are 24 grams or 0.85 ounces, distributed from Adept Cosmetics in Washington, and it is made by Adept Cosmetics in China. It also showcases that this product has a 24-month shelf life and it is cruelty-free. So you get quite a bit of information, once again, on the boxes and on these kind of silicone coverings of the products. So definitely take the time to look at that information in the event that it's important to you. And then once you've seen the information, you've tested it out on your skin and you know you're good to go, then you can kind of ditch all of those things like I typically do without noticing. So I did just kind of want to take the time to point that out for you all. Now we're going to go ahead and dive into the aerial shot of the swatches for both products. I'm going to go blush palette on my skin as well as the eyeshadow palette. Since this is the only blush palette that I have from this brand, that's going to be the only thing that I showcase. I'm not going to be doing any comparisons for that palette, but for the eyeshadow palette, I will do all comparisons based on on all of the other Adept Cosmetics palettes that I have, I also do have one palette that you guys have not seen yet, which is the Ninhydrin Dark palette. I think the last time I put it in one of my polls or my community posts, it did not win, and I low-key kind of just forgot, and it got lost in the sauce of my new bin. But I am very, very hopeful that throughout the month of December, with all of my filming for Swagmas, it will be showcased in one way or another, as well as showcasing some of the other products that I've kind of only slightly featured on my channel. So of course, feel free to comment down below if there's anything that you're interested in seeing from me. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into the swatches and check out the timestamps. Of course, I will have those, and yeah, let's get to it. Alrighty guys, so like I mentioned in the intro, I did realize that there was quite a bit of information on these boxes, so I did want to just show you guys close up of both boxes in the event that this helps you all. And as you can see, you get the ingredients and all of the really important information down below. And then once again, this is the second box that has the blush palette, and as you can see on the back, you have once again the ingredients and all of the important information. So I just wanted to show you guys that stuff really quickly. Now let's dive into the actual palettes. Now I did pick up two palettes. Let me zoom in even further for you all, and these are them. First, we have the Stella palette, which is the face palette. And since this is the only palette that I have that has cheek shadows or cheek shades, I'm just gonna swatch these really quickly so that you guys can see what they look like. And there you go. This is what all three shades look like on my skin tone. As per usual, I have natural lighting, although it is a little overcast slash late in the day, and then I have my ceiling light on top of me. So that very, very quickly is the face palette, and you guys will be seeing all three shades actually applied to my skin tone throughout the tutorial. Then we have the eyeshadow palette, and this is in the same arrangement as they typically are. They typically have this exact amount of shades, and it really only varies, of course, with the color scheme and then also the amount of mattes to shimmers. Typically there are more shimmers than mattes. So as I usually do at this point in the video, I am going to go ahead and swatch each shadow once so that you guys can see, unless I take too little product, which typically that only is a problem with the mattes. So I will just zoom out just a slight bit so you guys can see my full arm, and then at the end of swatching this full palette, I will then do comparison swatches if I deem that there are any shadows in this palette that look similar to previous palettes that I currently own. So yeah, let's just get to it. So yeah, this is the finished swatching of this palette, and I don't even know if I've said the palette name, but this is the Minka palette, and I'm just going to clean off my arm really quickly, get the rest of the palettes that I need to compare it to, and get to those swatches. Alrighty, so my palette collection for this brand has grown to a whopping 4 palettes, and I'm very, very happy with this collection that I have. So of course on the top is the Minka palette, which is the one that we are reviewing today, and then on the bottom is the Ninhydrin Dark palette. Now, if memory serves me correctly, I actually have not showcased this at all on my channel. I actually got it on, I believe, like the second or third relaunch, and that's why I was never really pressed. Plus, you guys didn't seem too eager. Regardless, though, I just want to look to see if there's any shadows in here that look like they could be in the other palette, and to my naked eye, they all look extremely different. I see no similarities. Let's look through the viewfinder. Through the viewfinder, I think that these two look similar, so I'm just going to go ahead and swatch them. First, Luna, and then AC 120. They both feel extremely creamy, like pretty much a cream shadow. And I didn't want to take too much product for either, but it seems I took a little too little. Alrighty, and as you can see, they look extremely different. This is more of that typical blue purple pigment, and this one is like an icy or like a gunmetal silver with sparkles. Beautiful, beautiful purple blue sparkles throughout it. So clearly two different shadows, although I think they are both beautiful. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say comparison wise. Let's close this one and get a new one. Next we have the Amunet palette, which I more so recently featured this on my channel. I believe this was actually my last 3 Looks 1 palette, or I know this was definitely my last 3 Looks 1 palette with this brand. And in person, I would say, what does that even say? Nephites and Linda look similar. I can see a difference, but they do look similar. And I think that's it. Let's look in the viewfinder to see. Like I said these two looked similar in person, and I think on camera these two look similar. So let's get to swatching. Yeah, I think on camera, actually, these two look more similar. So we'll do comparisons on all of them. First, let's do the Linda and Selena. And these are both from the Minka palette. These are both the multi-chromes from that palette, by the way. So this is going to be interesting. And then under Linda, I'm going to swatch Nymphites and RE. So this is Nymphites, this is RE. And then lastly, I'm going to swatch Anubis under Selena. So in person, not one of these is actually similar. Not one. They all may have maybe similar base colors, but once you put them on the face, the eye, or you can see I swatch them, they all have drastically different shifts. So yeah, I mean, that's really nothing to compare once you see them in that light. In pan though, they may look very, very similar, but on the hand, like I said, completely different. Last but certainly not least, I want to compare the Minka palette to the Heather Austin palette. So in the Heather Austin, which of course is my favorite of the 4 that I have so far, we do have some interesting foils, some interesting shifts, some beautiful mattes. None of the mattes are similar by any means. And to me, none of the shimmers look the same in person. Let's check in the camera. I think in camera, for whatever reason, these two look similar. And maybe it's a strong stretch, these two. I can tell you right now, these two are completely different. This is a brownie shimmer and this is a multi-chrome, but I think the base looks similar on camera and these two are completely different too. But let's go ahead and swatch them. I'm going to swatch the Minka palette first. So this one is Emma and this one is Linda. Once again, Linda is that multi-chrome. And then from the Heather Austin palette, I'm going to do 0603 and So Sexy. So first 0603 and then So Sexy. I swatched those in the wrong spot. So Sexy is actually supposed to be up here and 0603 is supposed to be down here. Either way, though, I hope you can see that they aren't exact dupes. Let me come in closer because I made that error. They're not exact dupes, although I will say these two are the closest in the comparisons that I have had throughout this collection. And once again, these two are, this one is So Excited from the Heather Austin palette, and this one is Emma from the Minka palette. So that's it. That's all I have when it comes to the swatches and comparisons. I hope that this was helpful. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get into the tutorials. And then at the very end, I will wrap up giving you guys my current thoughts on the Minka palette. Hey guys, so I'm very, very excited to be bringing you guys a new product. Of course, this is again from Adept Cosmetics. And yeah, so first things first, let's start off with the face palette. In this face palette, we have the 3 shadows. I will have already done B-roll, showed you guys the palette, talked to you guys about the palette. So I'm not going to go too far in depth. But I think I haven't even touched it yet right now. So I'm very excited. I'm going to go in with the darker. No, let's go in the lighter one. This one looks a little bit more orangey. This one looks a little bit more red. So let's see what this orangey one is going to do. And I don't know if it's going to pull as a blush. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. All right. I'm just going to add just a little bit more so I can get the color all over my cheek. This is extremely glowy. So if you are going to use this as an actual blush, be prepared. Otherwise, I think this could easily be a blush topper. That looks beautiful. I like it though. I know some people don't like glowy blushes, and I could definitely see me using this as a highlighter as well. But I really wanted to try and use the color products at least as they're meant to be. And you don't really see any of the color face on, which tells me this could have been a really good highlighter as well for somebody of my complexion. But like I just said, I'm not going to be using it that way. Now, I'm not a huge fan of fan brushes, but currently my brushes are still in the process of potentially getting washed. So we're going to use my fan brush because they're always clean. And I'm going to use the one like true highlighter in this palette and just see how it goes. Ooh, this is beautiful. Yep. Okay, we're going to spray. I'm just going to use my milk. Actually, let me blend a little bit more. I just kind of want to blend them together. And then I'm going to spray. I think that my cheeks look beautiful. And if you have like fuller cheeks, I think a glowy look could really emphasize that, but in the best possible way. So I'm very, very happy with I'm very happy with this look so far. The next look, at least at one point, I'm going to use this one so you guys can see. And then the third look, what I'm going to do is actually put a matte blush under and then I'll top it. So just stay tuned if you want some of that variety. I forgot, I need to change my shirt. Let me change my shirt so I can be vibing with the eyeshadow palette. Then we will zoom in a little bit better and then we will start the look. Alrighty, so we're a little bit closer in and I changed my shirt to a plummy color. So I'm very, very excited. Let's go ahead and prime with my Half Magic eyeshadow primer. You guys know this is my girl right now, okay? So that's why we're gonna use her and we're not gonna talk about my nails. Hopefully they don't look too bad, but you know, retail work is not indicative of fake nails, especially right now during the holidays. Okay, so we have these 2 shades. I think I want to kind of start with the lighter. This is a lot lighter than I was expecting, but it is okay. I will deepen this up with the darker matte. I guess I should have watched videos, but I really just didn't care. Now I really wanted to keep this look blended out and blown out, so I'm going to use another big fluffy brush into the darker matte. Okay, so I pretty much did just kind of cover up that lighter purple with this darker purple, or kind of the lavender with the actual purple. Not really mad at it. I actually think that the combination looks a cooler version of what is actually on my shirt color which is actually my shirt color, so I'm not mad at it at all. And I'll see, what I think I'm gonna do is actually deepen out that outer V with a smaller brush with that same deep shade, just to see the variety in the mattes. But I have been lusting after these shimmers, so I want to throw one of them on my lid, and I have absolutely I don't know which one I want to do. I think they're all so beautiful. Like, it's ridiculous how beautiful these are. I think I'm gonna go with Cora. Do you guys see? It's like a green shade. Or should I do Maya? I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go with Cora. That was my first instinct. I'm just gonna use my finger. I know that these are like beautiful foil shades, and I just prefer my finger with this brand. Oh my goodness. That is spectacular. Spectacular. And now what I'm gonna do is add some touches. So I'm just going to take a smaller blending brush. This one happens to be from Wayne Goss. It is his 19, and I'm going to go back into that deep dark purple, which is Maria, and just deepen out this outer V by also blending that what's it called, the shimmer as well. And I don't know if my camera is going to pick this up, but this matte is deepening itself, which is really the true case for any beautifully created matte. You should be able to deepen up every shade and kind of disperse it to some extent. And this is working great. I'm loving this look. I'm actually going to bring that all the way in. Yep. And then in my inner corner, I'm going to go in with Maya. This shade looks really, really pretty. That was the second shade that I wanted to play with, so why not give her her moment? Okay. So this is pretty much the finished look. All I'm going to do is hop off camera, put on my liner, mascara, and my lashes. I also need to put something on my lips. I literally just have a lip balm on because I am filming. Well, because I was starting to do my makeup and my lips were dry. But anyways, give me a second. Let me finish up this look completely and I'll come back to show you guys the finished look. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished look. So yeah, like I said, this is the first finished look. If you're wondering lashes wise, this video I'm going to stick with my Miami's from Lily Lash, and I will have all of the information for the rest of my face down below as per usual. And so far, first impressions, I am enjoying both products. I'm very, very happy with the shade or the tone that was presented in this palette that I picked up, which once again is the Stella palette. All the information down below. And then I really am glad I picked this up. I feel like there's a different texture in these shimmer metallic-y shades. It feels a lot more cream-like, but this is just first impressions. I will be giving you guys more thoughts as the more times that I test this out. And of course, I will come back to give you guys my overall thoughts on these products after I've fully tested them out. But with that said, let's get into look number 2. Alrighty guys, so I wanted to bring you guys look number 2. And like I said in yesterday's video, today what I'm actually going to do is put this blush topper type situation on top of a normal blush. So I do have blush on today. I did use a different brush than what I typically do, but my brushes are still in the process of potentially getting clean. So there's that. I do have my Project Pan Nars Liberte blush on as my base, and since that has a little bit of a stronger kind of neutral reddy tone, I thought it would really work with the redder toned blush. So I'm just going to take, I think this was the same brush I used yesterday, who knows, and there's something weird on the brush, and I'm just going to take the edge that I put the color and just blend it on top of the matte blush. So as you guys can see, I have now both blushes on this side, and I only have my powder on this side. So yeah, I think honestly, this is just a really pretty palette. Like, really pretty palette. So I'm just gonna kind of buff this in like I did yesterday. And then I'm gonna pull that same fan brush and put on my highlighter. Okay, so I'm very happy with today's effects. Definitely let me know which blush you like best on my complexion. I would love to hear. But now I'm just gonna go ahead and prime. I'm gonna go with my next favorite primer, which is Natasha Denona. This to me is a really good primer. The only thing that I just don't particularly love about it is that it does give a wet kind of finish if you don't let it dry down a little bit, or if you don't use a little bit less product than maybe you otherwise would. So for me, it's not as much of a love anymore, especially after now trying the Half Magic primer. And I think I put the perfect amount on today, at least by the brush. Yeah, it doesn't feel very tacky, so I will be good to go now without having to wait. So I believe last time I tried and I used both mattes to like blend out the crease. It has been like a day or two, so a lot of things have happened for me. I think today what I want to do is just kind of do a very light-ish ethereal type look, but I do also want to try to see how deep I can get Tanya to go. So I'm going to use a smaller blending brush than typically I would start off my crease with, and then I'm going to go into Toya. Now this is a synthetic brush, so it's not going to pick up as much product as maybe a natural hair would, but we're just going to go with it and see what happens. And I really want to see how deep I can get this, because in pan it looks like a light lavender, but I'm finding, at least on my complexion, that this is pulling very ashy, which is something that I'm not used to from this brand. I'm not used to that type of effect from this brand, so I think I'm a little thrown off, if we're being honest, because generally their products are extremely pigmented and to a very good amount true to color on my complexion. But this shade, it just looks like straight up white in person with a very, and I do mean a very light purple hue to it, whereas I'm sure in camera you guys can't even see that light purple hue. I'm sure it just looks like straight up ash. So I don't know how I'm gonna enjoy this look, but for right now we're gonna go with it. I think this is somewhat clean, if maybe it just has some primer, so I'm just gonna use it to kind of buff out the edges, because I know I kind of very harshly just applied that shadow, and yeah, we're just gonna do it that way. I could have used my setting powder brush, but it's all good. So I think for right now, I'm just gonna leave it with that in the crease, and we're gonna see what we can do with some of these shimmers, see if I can really kind of deepen out certain aspects of my look with the shimmers. If I remember correctly, last time I used Cora and Maya. I'm really interested in trying Linda. Linda looks like a straight up multi-chrome, so I think I'm gonna go in with that, at least in the front half of my lid. And I really think that Emma might be interesting too. Okay, we're gonna go with Linda in the first half of my lid. I also might put this in my inner corner. Oh, this is a beautiful shade. I don't know what it's coming out to you guys. Let me come in a little bit closer. Okay, now a little bit closer. Hopefully that helps. This is like, oh, this is beautiful. This is like a silver multi-chrome. Oh, I like this. I like this a lot. This is Linda again, in case I clipped that part out in editing. And this is beautiful. This is definitely going in my inner corner. I could see this being like a one shadow look for me, although it may come off very ashy on camera. I don't think that it would had I used a darker matte. This feels like it just kind of blends in with my skin effortlessly. But what I'm going to do is take a new finger and I am going to go in, I think I'm going to go into Emma. I kind of like Ava as well, but right now I think I really want to try Emma. And this looks to be like a darker kind of metallic bronzy shade. And I think I'm going to just kind of try to add some dimension, as stupid as that may sound, into this look with this shimmer. And that definitely did not work. I feel like it still really didn't bring too much dimension. But I do like both of these shadows. I definitely think that I prefer Linda better though. But it's also just not fair because Emma has its own kind of character to it. I do like these. Okay, let me clean off my fingers. I am going to pull, let's see, do I have any form of cream brushes? I'm going to pull this like a paddle brush from Eciem. This is the G27. And I'm going to go slightly into Emma and just put that in my outer V just to keep the same aesthetic and vibe going. I've never done that. I have no idea why I did it. And I feel like this is a look without any salt, as Lauren May Beauty loves to say. So I'm going to use a very, very thin blending brush. This is from Refer. This is their 14. And I'm just going to go slightly into Maria just to add something. I just feel like, yeah, it works, but it's not true to me. I like depth. I like dimension in all of my looks. And yeah, I just wasn't able to really get it with any of the products that I used so far today. So I'm going to try to finesse this. I don't know if I would recommend even attempting this look because I feel like I am all over the place with trying something new and it not really working out the way that I had hoped. I'm not really feeling this one, but I'm gonna hold full judgment until I put on my liner, my lashes. I find that sometimes centers my looks, and I'm definitely going with black liner today. I think I just need that harshness to really balance this out because it looks very, very airy. And we're in fall, so I want dark, sultry, centered looks. So give me 1 second. Let me throw on some lashes, throw on some liner. I'm also going to throw on a lip product. I'm probably just going to do the exact same technique in colors that I used yesterday. So I will be right back about now. Alrighty, so as always, this is the finished look. Now, this was an interesting tutorial. I feel like because I was able to showcase a little bit of interesting stuff going on, right? So the really light matte, I was really able to highlight that. And then I also got to showcase one of these really, really pretty multi-chromes in my inner corner, in my inner lid. And then Emma, which is such a very like glitter heavy shimmer shade. And you can really see that if you look in that outer V that I blended in just a little bit of Maria, you can see those glitters in that area. So this was a very interesting look. I'm not convinced 100% on it, but I'm happy I was able to do it. And so yeah, of course there's going to be look number 3, and then after look number 3 I'm going to give you guys my current thoughts. So yeah, let's get into look number 3. Hey guys, so I'm here to bring you guys look number 3 with this 3 looks 1 palette, and I've already primed with my About Face eyeshadow primer. You guys know that's just been my favorite thus far, and what I'm going to be doing is going in with the BK Beauty 201 brush into this into the Maria shade. It's the Minka palette. Anyways, I'm just going to be really challenging this shadow pretty much this whole look as the main kind of goal with using this shadow. And honestly, with this look today, I just really wanted to see how much depth I can get with it, and then how much I could really blend it out by itself without the use of without the use of the Toya shade, which I find a lot of people will probably use it in that manner, but I like to really challenge the matte if I can, and if I have the time on camera, just so you guys can see the quality of a matte, right? Because a really good matte, you can blend it and deepen it up with itself. So I'm really just taking my time applying the shadow, of course, and blending it out all with this one brush. Now, if you're wondering what happened with my cheeks today I used a cream blush from Rare Beauty in the shade Love as my base, and then I used a combination of the two shimmery blushes in the face palette, and then of course my highlighter from the face palette as well. So that's the my cheeks, but I'm just gonna go right back into that same shadow, but this time I'm going in with a smaller blending brush. This one happens to be from Sonia G, and this is her Blending Pro, and I'm just gonna really deepen out. You see how that just deepened up very easily with just this smaller, more concentrated brush. And that is honestly just the marking of a really, really good matte formulation. You really want to be able to make it look like you use like 3 or 4 different matte shades in a look with the same matte, and that's how you know it's a really good formulation. So I just want to deepen out this outer V with this same shadow, and don't mind if you see any shimmer coming off the brush. It is just the act of how I blended out the other eye, so it just kind of appears this way on this eye. Next we're going to do my lid shade, and I'm going to go into the shade Selena, which is this second beautiful multi-chrome that they have in this palette. It is really, really pretty formula. And I'm just going to do what I did in the other eye, go with the more concentrated brush just to blend out just a little bit. And you see how that just looks so, so pretty, so, so dynamic, so, so great. Then I'm going to use a really small pencil brush. This happens to be from Sigma. It's their E30, and I'm going to go into the shade Minka, which is this really silvery shade in the corner. And this really brought the brightness to the inner corner that otherwise I probably would have never gotten, just because of how dark everything else is in this eye look. But yeah. So yeah, that's the eye look. The lip products are the exact same as they've been all 3 tutorials, so definitely check out down below. And I'm just gonna hop off camera. I'm gonna put on my liner, my lashes, and I will come back to show you guys the finished look. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished look. Alrighty guys, so this is the third and final look. All details on my face all 3 days will be down below, so feel free to check out down below. Another thing that was similar on all 3 days is I just used my Lily lashes in the style Miami. Alrighty, so as for the 2 products that I really highlighted and focused from the brand Adept Cosmetics, let's dive into the face palette first to give you guys my current thoughts. As I always say, these are just my current thoughts right now. I do test these products out even further off camera or even sometimes on camera, depending on what's going on, and then I will give you guys a roundup review on these particular products. This collection, these last couple of things that I'll be talking about in November and December, to be quite honest, probably won't be featured in a roundup until next year, but I will be coming back to give you guys some opinions some point in the near future, hopefully. So first, like I said, the face palette is in the shade Stella, and if I did not mention before, which I'm sure I did, there is a nice size mirror which you can really get a full cheek view and even just a really in close eye view in the event that that is what you are interested in. So in this palette, you have the 3 shades in a very similar formula, just different colors. This shade on me is a really, really pretty highlighter. It is the highlighter that I'm using today, and I've used all 3 days. Now, a thing that I have not been able to use is my typical or my normal highlighter brush. It is currently in the process of potentially getting washed at some point in this century. So I haven't been able to see what it looks like very concentrated on my cheeks, but I will say with the fan brush that I've been using lately, it does look really, really nice. And that is also a technique that you can use if a highlighter is too light for you, or maybe too pigmented, or maybe too dark. If you just use a kind of brush that will either give you less pigment or diffuse the pigment a lot better on your cheekbones, you're going to be able to use the product sometimes. Not all the time, but that's going to be the best bet if you want to finesse using a product that you don't particularly like in a more concentrated application. Then these 2 blushes, they are more so, I would say, shimmery blushes, and if you are somebody who really doesn't like an overly shimmery look, I would not use these as standalone blushes. I would definitely use them on top of something. I found using them on top of either my cream blush that I particularly like I said, I did that today with the Rare Beauty. This does dry down matte though, so if you have a cream blush that dries down more or does not dry down and is more like a formula like the Tower 28, I have not tested it in that manner yet, so I can't really tell you if it'll work on top of that or not. But I know it works on a cream blush that dries down matte, and I also know that it works on a powder blush that is matte as well. So I definitely say that this face palette is really, really nice, and I definitely think that this is the face palette to get if you are somebody of my complexion or deeper. From what I could tell advertised, the other 3 just did not look like they would work for me, and that makes kind of sense, right? Breaking it up to provide 3 different types of face palettes for 3 different skin tones, and then the one like bronzy palette that absolutely won't work for me. So very, very happy with the product that I picked up from that range. And then we got the eyeshadow palette. Now, as always, or as lately, I have not done the swatches on this palette because I just have not had the time to do it during the day. I'm hopeful to do it tomorrow, but from what I've seen testing out different shimmer shadows and the 2 mattes, I think that there are some positives and some negatives so far to this particular palette. If you are somebody of my complexion or deeper, you're really not going to get a lot of use out of this lighter shade, which is Toya, unless you really like to blend out your shadows with like a transition shadow, or even just like to use a lighter shade to blend out a deeper shade. That's really going to be the only thing you can do. Unless you're somebody also, you could probably use it as like a brow bone highlight. I haven't been doing that lately, so I did not test it in that manner on these videos, but that is another possibility. Now, so for me, matte wise, this was not like the perfect choosing or combination, and sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. So I definitely didn't love the 2 colors that they chose, but I kind of understand it because this palette does more or less lean very purple in some way, shape, or form. Then they also give you a variety of different textures in the kind of shimmer formulations that you have here. So these 2 I would consider multi-chromes from what I've seen. Like I said, I haven't done the swatches yet, but just from what I can see moving the palette around, there really is some interesting and very, I would say, quite noticeable shifts with those 2 shadows. Then you have a thicker formula than I can remember seeing from this brand. So Maya, Layla, Nora, Emma, and Minka all are like this thick, opaque, shimmery, metallic formula. Not bad in a way at all, but it's just something to know. And I do believe this is the first time I've seen this type of formula from this brand. So that was definitely a shock, if you will, for me, being somewhat of an avid purchaser from them this year, and literally only this year, to see that new formula so late in the year. Then you have Cora, Ava, and Luna, which have more, I would say, of their kind of normal formula, where it is very, very smooth, opaque. Sometimes they have shimmers in it, but it's not as thick as those other ones that I mentioned before. So I definitely think that this palette has some positives and some negatives. For me, it's definitely not my favorite palette from them. some reasons for that. I do love mattes. I love having variety in mattes, and I really don't feel as though I have a huge variety in these mattes. You guys saw what it looked like if I was using Toya as a standalone shade in my crease and my outer V, all of that yesterday, and I did actually kind of cheat and use my liner on my upper lash line just to kind of add something on that outer V because I just could not handle it out otherwise. But yeah, that's my biggest gripe honestly with this. I think the different textures are interesting, and I really want to play a little bit more with some of those thicker metallics to see if I really do like them or not. I think they apply beautifully, and I think they look really, really pretty on the lid, and I don't remember or recall any feel that the formula broke down quicker than it typically does from this brand. So I'm not feeling any type of way about that. I'm more so just feeling some type of way because it's a new formula, and I really got to take some time to say, is this something that I think is warranted, or do I think they should stick more so with their normal formula? But that said, that's all I got for this review. I hope it was helpful. Definitely shout out down below in the comments if you picked out either of these products. And if you did, if you're enjoying them, if you find that you feel these are different formula as well as I do. Like I said, this is only the first kind of impressions through the third impressions. I will definitely be giving you guys some more thoughts on these products later on. And with that said, I will see you guys in my next video, which I'm sure is going to be soon. Bye, guys.